What's up guys, and welcome back to the channel. In today's video, I have the keys to the all-new 2021 BMW M4 Competition, and it is sitting alongside my 2020 A90 Toyota Supra, the MK5 Supra. So in today's video, we're going to talk about, is this car the next step up from the A90 Supra? Because if you think about it, the Toyota Supra is built by BMW. It's built alongside the Z4, shares pretty much everything with that car. It's a little bit more powerful though, the suspension's different, and of course the body looks quite a lot different than the Z4. The M4 though, in my opinion, is really the next step up in what it can offer compared to a Supra. And then in my own personal opinion, since my other car is a Nissan GTR, I think the M4 is smack dab right in the center of the two cars. So we're gonna kind of talk about these two cars next to each other and how they compare and how they contrast a little bit. And we're really gonna see, for all you other A90 Supra owners, if an M4 would be the next step up in car if you were selling the Supra. So then first and foremost, taking a look at these cars out and how they compare with each other as far as the looks, the M4 is a much bigger car. It weighs in around 3,800 pounds. Supra is a few hundred pounds smaller, and the Supra is only a two-seater. The M4, you do get some back seats in it, as you can see by this really large rear window. So of course you have a bigger car with the M4. The Supra looks absolutely tiny sitting next to the M4. And then from this angle, you can kind of get an idea of how they're styled. Of course, they look drastically different. The Supra is much more curvy, a lot more sporty looking. The M4 is a little bit more tame. And then of course, being the G80, the all new generation, we have this new front end design. So comment below, what do you guys think of the way it looks? Personally, I think it looks fantastic on the M car especially. Supra, a lot of people hated this when they saw it too, but in person, everybody says they love it. So like we always see, it seems like new designs end up growing on people over time, and I think both cars look really good. One thing very awesome with the M4, if I go ahead and open up the door, this one is actually spec'd with the optional carbon fiber bucket seats. They are a $3,800 option. They have power controls, beautiful look, absolutely a must-have. If I were buying an M4 or the M3, I would absolutely get these seats hands down. We've been test driving this car just a little bit, and then we also have the carbon fiber package on the interior for the steering wheel mounted paddle shifters, the whole center and everything like that. And then being the M4 Competition, which has around 500 horsepower, this is only paired to the 8-speed ZF automatic transmission. And then over in the Supra, this also has an 8-speed automatic transmission from ZF, and you do get a little bit of carbon fiber on the inside. However, you can opt an M3 or an M4 with a manual transmission, which sadly the Supra does not offer. All right, climbing into these bucket seats, because you literally have to climb up and over into them. Sitting in the M4 now, this is a nice place to be. It's really roomy, as you can see. And if you pan down a little bit, the carbon fiber seats are just insane looking. They have like grab handles on them with more carbon fiber. The centerpiece, the whole back and bottom, more carbon. We get leather, Alcantara, and even you get cutouts in these seats, which is just a cool touch. I love that on the M cars. Sitting here, we have a thick steering wheel. The shifters right here with stitching, more leather, carbon fiber. It feels like a premium car. This one's around $85,000. Carbon fiber roof, so we don't have a sunroof, but I would probably rather have carbon fiber up there. So it definitely fits nice. The bolsters are as tall as my legs, and the back bolsters are even adjustable. They can tighten on you depending on how large you are, and I personally fit super comfortable in this. You have all the same infotainment in both cars pretty much. However, you do have top-down camera view and the 360 view for the M4, but definitely a nice car. Let's hop in the Supra real quick. Now this car, the seats are much flatter now that I'm sitting in this. Wow. However, you have a much smaller opening to where it is still a tight car to get into. Closing up the door now, this already feels noticeably smaller. You have a lot of headroom though with the double bubble roof, no sunroof as well. But you can see how these seats are much more conservative than the bucket seats. These are more on par with the standard M4 and M3 seats. You do get a little bit of carbon fiber in here and the older BMW infotainment. A little bit skinnier steering wheel, so not quite as performance oriented. I wish Toyota did a little bit better job on that. But sitting in here though, it's definitely a smaller car. Not quite as nice in here, but again, mid $50,000 range, it's a lot cheaper. So I think as far as the Supra goes, if you own a Supra, the good things about this car, the B58 motor in it has a lot of power potential. Bone stock, they make 350 wheel horsepower and 400 wheel torque. That's what mine and many others dynoed at bone stock. Full bolt-ons and a tune, you know, full exhaust, bigger intake and things like that. And we're now at 450 at the wheels for horsepower and 560 for torque. And if I put a bigger turbo and E85 or something like that, this is well over a 600 horsepower car for less than $5,000 in mods. This car, bone stock, the engine already has 500 horsepower, and I'm sure it's pumping out mid to upper 400s at the wheels, being the M4 Competition. So you have the power potential in this car, just like we see in the B58 on the Toyota Supra. So genuinely, this is the next step up in performance, and I love that aspect about it. They're both rear-wheel drive cars as well, and I believe all-wheel drive is coming for the M cars. Don't quote me on that, but that is definitely a cool touch for inclement weather and things like that. And then to really quickly touch base on the Nissan GT-R, because that is the next step up, I think, above an M4. You get twin turbo V6, a little bit larger displacement. The all-wheel drive is standard, dual clutch transmission, and even more power potential. So I think the M4 really has a lot to offer. Let's hop into it though, because I am dying to sit in those carbon fiber seats and talk more about how this is the next step up from a Supra. So we are now in the M4 Competition. These seats are ridiculous, especially compared to what you get in the Supra. I'm in just the normal driving mode. We'll kind of feel the car out a little bit and then put it into the M modes, sport modes, everything, manual mode, and talk about how this compares to a Supra, and even we're going to talk about it comparing to a Nissan GT-R. Normal mode is pretty comfortable, however, it is much more aggressive and abrupt than the Supra. The Supra is pretty comfortable feeling, but already I do like how it feels pretty normal like a BMW. So with that said, we can put us into the manual mode, and then if I hit M mode, we get the really cool screen that comes up, and then tapping the M2 button twice, we're now into the performance mode, everything. Wow. Now that is effortless power, and I like how the horsepower really climbs versus the Supra just having that instant torque and falling flat just a little bit in the higher RPM. So this car kind of has that characteristic with the GT-R, how it just has that power. But I think if you were to trade in a Supra or decide to sell your Supra and upgrade to the next step up car, I think this would be the next, and then a GT-R would be, because this car is a good blend because you do have the back seats in a trunk just like the GT-R, and you have that power plant. This has 500 horsepower, so that is definitely nothing to shy away at and think that's not fast. This is a really fast car, and I like how it still does have the more tame torque converter automatic transmission instead of an older school dual clutch. So it does give you that refinement and a little bit more comfortable aspects like you find in the Supra, but this is much more driver focused and performance oriented feeling than the ZF you get in the Supra. So I definitely see a little bit of a blend of both. And then being a BMW, of course, just like the Supra, we have the same infotainment, exactly the same way you use everything. Nothing really too different there, but you do get some extra technology like the 3D camera view. Of course, you have lane keeping assist, blind spot alert, things like that. So I'm liking that aspect. And then the power though, you definitely get GT-R power stock for stock, and then the modification potential. This car can really step it up compared to even a Supra, because you do have a more powerful engine with, you know, bigger turbo, things like that, and obviously a ton more horsepower stock to stock. And then sitting in these bucket seats, I think if you're getting an M4, I personally would absolutely spec it with these seats. They're $3,800, hands down, very well worth it. I am so comfortable in them. I've always felt like bucket seats are more comfortable than standard seats because you're really sitting on the frame of your body and they support you so well. They're designed to support you 100% for performance driving. So in my opinion, that makes them so comfortable. Whoa. So seamless acceleration, and again, we're not going over 4,000 RPM, nothing crazy in a brand new car, but then tapping the brakes, this really comes to a standstill. Coming over a nice sweeping turn. It feels really light on its toes too, and I like how with the Supra, it's a little bit smaller car, it weighs a couple 100 pounds less. I do feel like the Supra is more nimble and you can really toss it around more. This is more on the side of a GT-R with the bigger car stability, where it really just planted and hunkered down. It's not as tossable, you know, flick of a wrist, spinning the car around and things like that. But this car does give you that sense of you can put it where you want to. The steering feel, taking a sharp 90-degree turn, pretty good. Honestly, I would say the Supra might be just tighter in the steering, so I think that's a big thing you're going to notice. So the smaller back roads, the Supra's going to be a little bit better, but out on the racetrack, the M4 is going to be a little bit more at home with the wider turns and things like that. So I definitely like how with the M4, you get a lot of the characteristics from the Supra. You get snappy engine, really good transmission, all the infotainment and all the luxury aspects and safety features, but then you get the GT-R sizing and practicality and the power plant and actual performance. If you modify this, this would be a ridiculous 700 horsepower car, just like a GT-R can be. Well, this is definitely a really cool car. Comment below, for those of you who own an A90 Supra, if you were to trade it in and sell it for the next step up, what do you think the next step up car would be? I think if a GTR and a Supra had a baby, I think it would be this car right here, given everything we've talked about. It really has that blend of performance car. Goodness gracious. Performance car, luxury car, the good layout and everything like that. I am really liking this car. I did a full review of this car, which will be linked down below. Definitely check that one out. I definitely like a lot of what this thing has to offer. And then now toning everything down to the normal driving mode, it feels pretty comfortable. I would say it's more on par with the GTR as far as it's not that refined. You do feel the bumps. Of course, these rock hard seats are rock hard racing seats. These standard seats are going to be much more comfortable like you find in a GTR, but that is an option. You know, you don't have to get these, and you can get a manual transmission, which is really cool. We'll touch on that in a second. But I like how this car gives you that mechanical raw aspects like you get in a GTR, but it still is toned down enough to be a normal car if you want it to be, like the Supra can be. So I really think this is the good blend between the two cars. And then looking at price point, the Supras are around $50,000 to $55,000 depending on discounts and things like that. This car is sitting around $80,000 and a new GTR sitting around $110,000. So price point, this is smack dab in the middle, and I think you really get all the good things from a Supra and all the good things from a GTR and none of the negatives. Negatives would be a small Supra, you know, don't have too much practicality, no back seats. Of course, some people need back seats. The GTR negatives, it's a clunky transmission, old school dual clutch, and not really the latest and greatest technology. You do get a backup camera, sensors and navigation, and the new ones have Apple CarPlay, but this one, 3D camera, top-down view, the forward collision, all those sorts of safety systems that you're finding in a luxury brand from BMW, of course, are in this car. But this is definitely an epic car. As far as the design, a lot of people hate the new G80 M4 and M3. Honestly, it is a car you have to see in person, and every time a brand new car comes out, it's the same story from all the people on the internet. Everybody hates everything new. They always want the new car to be the same as the old car. And the crazy thing is, when I reviewed a 21 M5, I got so many comments of people saying it looks just like the old one. Why would I buy it? Well, this doesn't look like the old one, and now people hate it. So, you know, you can't win, it seems, with people. In my opinion, though, like we see every time a new car comes out, later in the year, people start loving it. This car I hated too when I saw it in pictures. I thought it looked really weird. Looks like a mouse with buck teeth. I see that. However, seeing this in person and experiencing it, and especially on the M cars, the front end is so aggressive, it ties in so well, and it makes this car look unique. It doesn't look like a normal BMW anymore. It really stands out to be something new and exciting. And when you drive it, and these seats again are a huge selling point for me. I almost want to buy the car just because of these seats, and I'm actually pretty serious about that. I love these seats. But the car really comes together for me. I think it looks really good all around. The curves, the sharp angles, everything just really makes this car stand out to me. Man, and I love how rigid it feels. It just feels like a high performance car, and a great blend between the Supra and GTR. All right, climbing out of those carbon fiber seats in the all-new M4, that is one heck of a car to drive. I really like the blend you get in it, the performance, the comfort aspects, and all the really cool features with this car. So comment below, do you think the M4 would be the next step up from a Toyota Supra? I really think so, and I can see maybe next year or the year after really considering an M4 or an M3 with a manual and the carbon seats. I could genuinely see getting one of these cars. I really liked it. So that is then it for today's video. Comment below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on the new car. And then huge shout out and thank you to Hendrick BMW of Northlake for providing this M4 for today's video. Check out the link to their website in the description below. They have a huge selection of the 2021 BMW lineup, so definitely check them out. If you enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys next video.